My name is Nelson Clark. I am 25 years old, and this is a tape for me. Um, Back in 2000, the winter of 2012, I struggled with mental health issues, and it lasted for about, I say it lasted about until late 2013, early 2014. Um, this is something I was hospitalized in, I think, December 14th from 2012 until December 21st, 2012. It's something that I was also hospitalized at Bryland Mental Health at, I want to say, late January and February, for about the same amount of time of 2013. Um, this is something that's been very close to me, and I don't really share, and it's just out of fear of what other people would think, and just being the person that I am. I'm very intuitive, very spiritual, and at at some point, I I began to question myself and just the nature of the reality that we live in, and it was hard for me to do, and this is something that I felt ashamed of for a long time. And when people look at me or think of me, they have this image in their mind, and I always wanted to keep that. And just even mentioning the words of, or just admitting that I have dealt with mental health issues was something that was very hard for me to say. I didn't want anybody to visit me. I didn't want anybody to speak to me, or just I didn't want any people to see me in that state. Um, just battling through those, going through those trials, um, taught me a lot about myself and how to. It gave me a lot of wisdom and how to heal myself, and I was able to heal myself and stop the, I'd say, the mental confusion that was really going on. Having thoughts run through your head and you don't know if they're yours or they're coming from somewhere else. And um, how I was able to heal myself, I was able to, for I was, I began to recognize that this external force that was pushing on my brain, like, it wasn't my, it wasn't me creating them. It wasn't me creating the thought of hurting myself, whether it's suicide or whether it was just talking down about myself and putting a lot of pressure on myself to do things, or remembering things that from childhood that have really no implication on how I carry myself or how I should be moved today. Um, I know a lot of people, excuse me, I know a lot of people are going through hard times battling with just everyday things you see in the news. Just the energy is really high right now. And if I have any wisdom to help people in that situation, because I've been through it, and I'd always want to help anybody else who wants to get that monkey off their back and just want to gain control of what's going through their mind. Um, I'm definitely willing to share my wisdom and what I've learned from my personal experience. Um, uh, if you ever have suicidal thoughts or you just really down on yourself in a state of depression, anxiety, paranoia. It's definitely important that you understand where it's originating, and that takes a lot of self-reflection, because I know a lot of those, that feeling or that voice that's in your head is really, it'll say a lot of things that aren't true, and your fear will take over, and it can easily spiral out of control. um, I definitely say, if you want to overcome and really get a grasp of your mind, definitely start with, um, one, making writing, like expressing yourself, not holding everything in. You have to share these these thoughts of what's one of they had put on paper. You don't necessarily have to show anybody that paper, but getting them out and finding someone you trust and you can confide in, that will really help you. Um, Definitely, I'd say, on top of that, when you're writing, write a list of everything that you think you are, the person, the state of happiness, or what you want to be. Right, and regardless of what's going on in the world, write down who characteristics of who you are, and make a list. If you're having a hard time, ask a close friend, ask some loved ones, or the kind of person that they think you are. And then you should definitely read, whenever you're going through a hard time, read that list just to remind you who you are, and continue to read this list over and over again, like repeat it in your mind of, this is who you are, this is who you want to be. And then I'd say, once for step two, um, relax, enjoy yourself. I recommend watching this movie. There's a movie, Revolver, by the guy from Transporters, Michael something. Andre 3000 is in that movie, and it's definitely a good movie, and you'd wanna watch that. And it has a lot of philosophies, and it's a movie about metaphysics, and it'll let you know about this internal struggle. It's a guy about his internal struggle, and by the end of that movie, it'll let you know that you're not. This isn't something spooky. It's something that goes on in a lot of people's lives, and I'd say it'll help you get a grip on having control of your mind. Um, and I'd say, let's say step three, once you watch that movie, I'd say take some time out to yourself, find a quiet room, read over that list again, and then meditate. I'd say just sit down, get comfortable, relax, and just focus on your breath. Just find a seat and just breathe in and out. Focus on your breath, and just do that as long as you can do that. Just hold it in for 3 seconds and just start off counting, and then just begin to relax. You'll notice that you may start having those thoughts. Those thoughts might come popping up. Whenever you feel those thoughts coming up of anxiety or depression, or what are you doing, this is stupid, or try to bring your attention elsewhere, away from your breath, stop. Just continue right back, focus right back on your breath. And you'll notice that you're the one that's focusing on your breath, because it's going in and out. Then you'll begin to notice that those thoughts keep running. Those things will keep, you'll just sit back and listen. It'll keep going, but just focus on your breath. And then you'll begin to see, wait a minute, if I'm focusing on my breath, what is this thought? If that thought is not coming from you, that's the key. Understanding that if you're focusing on your breath and these thoughts are running through, they're originating from somewhere else. And then once you begin to separate these negative thoughts of fear, anxiety, so hurting yourself or whatever, something that's in the news, you have to understand that that's coming from elsewhere. Maybe that's coming from something you saw on TV, a commercial. Maybe that's something somebody may have mentioned when you were walking to the store. That it may have been. It can be coming from anywhere, anything you interact with. You bumping shoulders with people every day. You don't know what they're going through. And just like when you walk into a room and you can, there's an elephant in the room. You can almost step in somewhere and you can just feel someone was thinking about you, or they're having a conversation about you. You can feel their thoughts brushing against you. That's all energy. That's true. That's a true feeling, and you know it because you feel it. So now it's the same thing with your thoughts, with your own thoughts. Once you're doing that breathing, and you know you're focusing on your breath, and you still hear those thoughts running, you have to ask, where are those coming from? And then once you begin to separate it, you'll begin to see, okay, this isn't that voice of negativity. That isn't me. That's coming from some TV show. That's coming from the angry neighbor. So I'll definitely say and repeat every day. Read that list of who you are. Take that time out. It's so vital to take that time out. Take out 30 minutes and just focus on your breath and listen. Focus on your breath and listen and understand who you are. It's a reminder. You just write it in on that piece of paper. Reminder who you are, and those thoughts and those thought forms, those spirits will let you know who they are and where they're coming from. And this will definitely help around this time of the year. It's something I've noticed around every time around when college students are dealing with a lot of anxiety of finals and stress in the world today. They tend to this energy, this spirit tends to pop up around the world, and it just feeds off of the anxiety and stresses of young people, old people who deal with everyday things. But it's very important that you realize that those thoughts of uh, anxiety, depression, that's not you. You're in control. You're in control of what goes through your mind. If you don't want something there, it can be removed simply by breathing in, breathing out, and identifying what's you and what's not. Let me know if you guys, if this video helps, and hopefully I'll be making another video pretty soon. Peace.